Hello and welcome. So today, we are going to talk about something that I think pretty much everyone on the planet has struggled with: procrastination. You know that feeling, right? That little voice that says, I'll do it later, even when you know you probably shouldn't. But here's the good news. We can actually understand it, we can break it down, and we can finally move from delay to done. Okay, let's dive in.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at what I call the cycle of later. Then we'll unpack the real reasons we procrastinate, the why behind it all. After that, we'll get real about the hidden costs before jumping into some awesome practical strategies and building your very own anti-procrastination toolkit that you can start using, well, today.
I mean, who hasn't, right? I'll do it tomorrow. It's so simple. It feels so harmless when we say it. But that one little phrase, that's the theme song for procrastination. It's the tiny crack that can turn into a pretty big problem in our lives.
And hey, if you're thinking you're alone in this, you are absolutely not. Just look at this number. According to the American Psychological Association, a whopping 70% of students say they procrastinate on the regular. So this isn't some personal flaw. It's a super common human behavior. So let's be super clear on what we're actually talking about here. Procrastination isn't just, chilling out or taking a well-deserved break. It is the habitual act of putting something off, even though you know it's probably going to come back to bite you. That's the real kicker. All right, so let's dig into this cycle of later. We've got to really understand what the problem looks like up close before we can even think about trying to fix it. And this right here is probably the most important thing to get straight from the start. Procrastination is not the same as being lazy. Not at all. Laziness is being unwilling to act. Procrastination is an active choice to do something else, something less important, instead of the thing you know you should be doing. And there are some really deep reasons for that choice. So let's unpack those reasons, shall we? Why in the world do we knowingly put off tasks that matter? Well, it turns out the causes are actually pretty complex, and they usually fall into a few key areas. So a huge part of this is psychological. It's driven by our feelings, things like being afraid of failing or worrying about what other people will think. Or maybe it's that you just doubt you can do it well. And then there's perfectionism, that classic trap of waiting for the perfect time to start, which, spoiler alert, never actually shows up. A lot of the time, we're just trying to avoid feeling bad, avoiding boredom or stress or anxiety. And then you've got the cognitive and behavioral side of things. These are our mental habits, not planning things out, not having a solid routine, or, and this is a big one, thinking we have way more time than we actually do. And sometimes, let's be honest, we just don't want to do the task because it's boring or hard.
And of course, we can't forget our environment. I mean, our phones are buzzing constantly with notifications. Sometimes there's nobody around to kind of keep us on track. Or we've just said yes to way too many things and our plate is completely full. Our surroundings can make it almost impossible to focus sometimes. So you add up all those psychological, behavioral, and environmental triggers, and they lead to some very real and often hidden costs, because putting things off is never free. There's always a price to pay. Let's take a look at what that is.
I love this because it shows how the same problem looks totally different depending on your perspective. For the student, it feels like stress, like being stuck, like telling yourself, oh, I work better under pressure. But from the outside, from a teacher's view, it just looks like late assignments, being unprepared, and a lot of stress. It doesn't just impact us, it impacts how people see us. And the consequences ripple out into every part of life. Yeah, sure, it can mean lower grades, but it's also the emotional weight of feeling guilty and stressed all the time. It's the bad sleep from trying to cram everything in at the last minute. It can even strain your friendships and, over time, build this mindset where you just avoid challenges altogether.
Okay, that was a lot about the problem. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about solutions. This is where things get exciting because we're going to get into real, actionable things you can do to break that cycle and start making progress, like right now.
A researcher named Pierce Steele calls procrastination a self-regulatory failure, and that's such a powerful way to think about it. It means the solutions are all about getting better at managing ourselves, our actions, our thoughts, and our environment. It's about taking back control. So let's start with what you can do. If a huge task feels overwhelming, your new best friend is the break it down strategy. Just turn it into tiny, bite-sized pieces. If you're bad at planning, try time blocking. Literally put it on your calendar. And my favorite for just getting started, the 2-minute rule.
If a task takes less than 2 minutes, just do it immediately. Don't even think about it, just go.
Okay, now for the mental game. Remember that emotional avoidance we talked about? The best weapon against it is actually self-compassion. Beating yourself up just makes things worse. Instead, try to be understanding. And if you get distracted easily, the Pomodoro technique is a lifesaver. You just work, focused, for 25 minutes, then you get a 5-minute break. It makes any task feel less intimidating.
And finally, let's fix your surroundings. If digital distractions are your kryptonite, then you have to create a space that's distraction-free. Seriously, turn off those notifications. It is a game changer. If you feel like you're floating without any accountability, find someone, an accountability partner. Tell a friend your goal. It makes you so much more likely to actually do it. These are direct counters to those environmental problems we talked about earlier.
All right, let's put this all together into a toolkit. A few simple things you can literally start using the second this is over.
A simple planner like this one can be incredibly powerful, but the magic isn't just making a to-do list. It's assigning specific times and priorities to your tasks. Why? Because it completely removes the question, what should I do next? You just look at your schedule and you do the thing. It takes all the mental effort out of starting.
So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge, a direct one, right now. What is one thing, just one, that you've been putting off? Got it? Okay. Now, how can you spend just 2 minutes on it? That's it. Not to finish it, just to start it. Because that journey from delay to done, it always begins with one tiny 2-minute step. So, what's yours going to be?